All right, Devils. Here we're back with a look at Ethereum. We didn't do the poll today. I got to pick. So, yeah, I haven't looked at ETH in a while. I know the other senseis have been all over this. Now, we'll get to the T in a second, but just in case you missed this on the Ripple video, Black Friday. All right, so many of us do. Right? A little promotion here. This is on the multi-month, so it's 30% on the 3, 35 on the 6, and then, of course, the big one is 40% off the 12-monther. That's, we don't do those very often, so that if you're on the fence, that's about as good a deal as we ever offer. So a lot of people take advantage of that, and as I said in the Ripple video, I'm getting a lot of emails like, are you doing Black Friday this year? Are you doing it this year? Oh, yeah, right. So we'll run this for the week. This will go through Sunday, so... I mean, you got a couple of ways. I said this in the other video as well. If you're on the fence, come on in for the free, right? Set that up. Just take a little, trip around the Discord. You'll get access to some content. You'll get access to the white belt. You got all week to get a feel for it, see if you like it. And if you're, up for the challenge, because I got to tell you, if you're interested in the belt system, it's not. I got an email from a guy this morning. Wrote me, he can't pass the white belt. He's like, hey, would you mind if we just called this a pass and I could move forward and just get into the blue belt? I appreciate the guy's, he's anxious to learn. He wants, but we do this deliberate. We do that for your benefit. I'm not picking on anyone here. Really, I don't mean to be. We're not going to just pass you just because you're annoyed that you can't pass it, right? We do that for your benefit, right? We want it to be hard for you to pass, and we don't tell you if you fail. We don't tell you what you got wrong, because otherwise you're just going to go back and study that little section you pop through and pass, right? We want you to re-study the entire thing, right, so that you can pass it as though it was your first time, right? It reinforces what you already learned. We're doing this because it works, not because we want to be dickish about it. So it's just so you understand, the white belt is no easy task, right? You're going to have to put some effort into passing that before you can get access to the blue. I don't care how much you ask or how much you send me emails or how much you paid. We're doing that for your benefit, not ours. That's for you. Okay, so there you go. Right. So if that, just giving you some ways to put a toe in the water. If you're on the edge here. Okay, enough said on that. Right. This will go all the way through. I think Sunday night. All right. Let's go over and look at ETH. Now, oh boy, this is. Sometimes TA. It can feel, it's almost effortless, right? When it's really good, and you've got a combination here of just textbook, like literally you couldn't draw it up any more perfectly if you were using line drawings in a textbook. This is both a perfect Elliott count and a perfect Wyckoff base to have built from. I mean, you got all the swings here you need. You got your buying, your selling climax. On reaction, we got a test, and semi-spring-ish here. We get across the creek, we retest. God damn, it's just and look at the cause and effect, right? So I did the same thing with Ripple, okay, right? So it's cause and effect. What kind of cause have we built here? Think of it that way: cause and potential effect, right? This is one very juicy base. Look at the volume profile, right? This is a whole lot of accumulation. All right, now are we starting to rip? Well, it sure does look that way. And the Elliott count equally, right? So I've often said this before. So many times we get into counts and we're like, God damn, what the fuck is this? There's WXY. What is that? Oh, it's an upside down triangle and a reverse corner, and you get so lost in it. When Elliott is at its best, it's literally when there is no dispute about what the count is. I don't think this is one of those few cases where 10 Elliotticians are going to give you the exact same count. I mean, this is hard to miss. It's hard to get this wrong. So here, all I've done is just taken a channel, right? I've just taken a channel and just connected those pivot low to pivot high, right? So you can see, right, it's a big base. We get up, we test it, and look, Vegas wave, right there. You get that little. It's not quite a double bottom, but it's within ticks, right? And that's our launch point. It's a test, right? How we doing? You can kind of see. It looks like they're testing this a little bit. We didn't quite get there, but it's a. Could have been some of this over here where it's just a double check. Are we safe? Are we safe? Is supply going to show up here because we haven't been able to get through before we got through? Because that's always the potential here, that this is just a little pump breakout fake. But what gives you conviction here is that we get testing, right? We test the structure, right? Whatever you want to use here. We test the structure. Now we're back up and we're kicking. pretty, right? And not this is not rocket science, right? That's, I mean, if you went to Google and said, what does an Elliott wave impulse look like? That's all the TA you needed here. Right. So now this, and I will say that this is a little bit unusual, right? So all of crypto had the ugly one, had the ugly two, right? You kind of had an ugly one and a shallow two, but all of crypto did the same thing, right? So it was certainly not surprising to see ETH do the same thing. So 1, 2, pretty impulse here in the 3. It's a little wonky here. Now, what's interesting about this? Let me pull this off here, because if you zoom in there actually is if this extends, this is. I didn't check it across every exchange. This is pretty close. So there is a count that if we extend here, if this keeps going, we may be back here going 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not there yet because I like the 3 here, but and the Vegas wave seems to offer some support here. But if needed, right, that's a place we might be revisiting if this continues to extend. Right, you follow me there? We'd get another 1, 2 at a larger degree, right? 1, 2. I'm assuming you do. Okay. So, and if you don't, well, then you probably need to come in and consider the belt system. Okay. There we go. So from this 3, 4, now we're seeking the 5 of what would be the 1 off the low. Right. That things are starting to look pretty good in crypto land. Right. So that's encouraging. Right. Ripple popping. Shit. That's. I said in that video. I don't think I'd looked at Ripple in 6 months. It's just been dead money. Well, all of a sudden, right, things sneak up on you. So here, if you're not in, well, of course, I'm going to tell you this is not the time to be buying, right? So what do we have to work with here? Well, we got a little pull, but we got to, always look over here. So where's a base? So really, if you're kind of keying off of that, you'd be looking for your base, maybe in this range here. So perhaps, again, just using the structure here as a potential retrace, but only says we have to come back that far. Now let's see where we are here. 1, 2, 3. This is a pretty good rip for the 3, 4. No, we don't have a pivot here yet. I'm curious. Let's try a 3 hour here. See how this looks inside that impulse. Yeah, this is. Yeah, you can get this here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a diagonal, right? This 3 is long enough. I checked it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like you're leading diagonal. I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. Then there's your 2 coming right back to test the structure, right? So pretty, right? We come back and test it on the 2. Could you script that any better? Probably not. So, all right. So we come in here. We get another little structure point, and I'm just using prior structure here. Shit, you can choose to use it or not. If it's just up to you. I just force a habit. I always wick off the 1s, and then I'll look for other things where I might see, what else are we bumping into here? This looks like we don't have much of a 2 here. So 1, 2, if that's, this might have to be the 2. So we might have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's check that. It's close enough, right? So that's the deepest retracement. So if we go here, we don't have that. So that's likely our 1, 2, and then we'd be going 1, 2 yet again. Fuck, 1, 2 again. Now we're getting pretty granular into the count. Well, it's just sometimes I won't go there unless it forces me to, right? So if I can stay out here on the higher time frame and not overanalyze. Because you can do that. You can get caught into the, fuck, is that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2? You can lose yourself in there, right? You go down the Elliott rabbit hole. So that's where, as I said, I've said many times in FX, where you go out to the longer time frame, 4 hour and above, things really, really clear up, right? You get down in the 15-minute, it's very easy to get lost in the Elliott rabbit hole. All right, so 1, 2, I'm not worried about that subdivision just yet. All right, show me a 4 is coming. I might dig in here, but for the time being, I'm just going to let that run. So once we get a pivot here, then you can kind of work backwards into the subdivision here. Right now, you're kind of, it's a bit of pulling it out of your ass. It could be, might be, should, that you want to try and avoid that here. So what can we see here? Well, with all of crypto, right? As I've said, 3, 4. This looks pretty solid down here. Again, if we need to, we'll be back here revisiting that. 1, 2, no. You can't hard to ignore this as a potentially some structure here for a 4. But any of this, right? So now we don't have it yet. Let's see how we're looking down here. That's plenty kicked. Looks like that we're almost double topish. There's plenty of volume coming in. We're over 70 here. You might anticipate that's some profit taking here. A little bit of a pullback might be coming here. Now from the 3, this move here, nothing over here to work with. So if it's going to come down, you're going to be very focused on what shape does it take. Do we get a nice 3 here? All right, can we dig into that subdivision? All the things you'd want to look for just to help you. And then always the question is, well, do you try and pick the turn? Right? I mean, there are times when it'll set up so well, right? You can't resist it. But always the safer play is to wait for the little micro. Take that, because then see, it's risk control. It's never about, okay, this is what a professional, how you want to approach this. See, it's never about, oh man, I got the turn because I can make more money. It's if I got the turn here, okay, well, where's my stop? The 1, right? So, but if I do this here and I take the little micro, where's my stop? Right? What's the damage potential? Right? Much smaller here, because if this comes down, so maybe we're going to get a bigger, correction, right? Maybe we get something like that. Right? You don't know, right? So that's the advantage of doing it, and then minimizing the potential impact, right? We can all take a jab, right? Not an uppercut to the jaw, right? Stops are part of trading, right? You can't be afraid of a stop. A stop has to be just, okay, stop did its job. Thanks for keeping me from getting knocked out of the ring. Thanks for doing your job. How much can I lose? Not how much can I make, right? And that's it takes, it's human nature, right? I understand that, right? You're looking at the, holy shit, look at that 3, 4. Whoa, what if that goes? Look how much I could make. It's very easy to do that. But when it's time to focus on the trade, priority number 1, how much could I lose? Has to be what's in the back of your mind all the time. You get in the trade, gets off to a good start. Yeah, okay, right? It's kind of fun, right? Do some project. Well, you want to have a target. Don't trade without a target. Well, no, pardon me. I shouldn't say it that way. If you're accumulating for a long-term hold, well, your target might be time-based. Yeah, I'm gonna revisit this in 5 years. Now, if you're trading off of a 1 hour or a 3 hour, have a target. Now, if it gets to your target, perhaps you're reevaluating because you see more strength. There could be a reason to carry on. But if you're in the trade, there's nothing wrong with taking profit on a target and then just looking for the next on-ramp. Right? So that's an individual decision you have to make based on your risk tolerance. And, are you comfortable with it? A lot of times it's, you know when you're not comfortable. How many times do you check in the market a day? If it's more than 10, you're probably you're over levered, right? Or you're over traded. If you're comfortable, I'm gonna take a peek at it this morning, right? You've got a good trade. You're comfortable. It's not going to hurt you. Your stop's in place. That's how you want to trade. It shouldn't be a grind, a stress bomb of just trauma. It should be, when it's good, it should be almost effortless. It's like you can see it, right? You can, oh shit, there's the 4. Oh, off to the 1, 2. It's, oh good, I know I want. Oh, we're just testing structure. All of that, it just flows. It's easy. It's trading in the zone, right? Famous book by Mark Douglas, right? That's what it's about. Because mentally, the mindset of the trader is, I would tell you, it's beyond the TA. That's the number 1. You've got to be at ease. You got to be comfortable. You want to be in flow, right? Whether it's an athlete or a trader or whatever, or if you're a business-minded or a salesperson, when you're in flow, you know it because you're not thinking about what's coming. You don't have to think. It's effortless. That's the state you want to be in. All right, so if you're not in or you're looking for the next place to add, well, you're in hurry up and wait. It's pretty, right? Now, there is a little geometry here. So first, right, so we look here and say, okay, is there what's missing? I got a clear Elliott count, right? I got a big base that I've built from. What else can I add to this to give me more conviction about where we're going and what could be next? Well, of course, we want to. It's incomplete without the geometry. So what's there? What's available to me? Well, we've got the first channel that I've drawn, but we've got another channel here. If I pull back out here, that seems, just pretty basic, right? Pivot low, turns out it's my 4 here that I'm pulling from to my 3. Now, a little throw over. Looks that way. Would the center line be a reasonable target here? If this is, if we don't have it yet, if we start to come back down, wouldn't that center line be pretty for potential? Because you need something. Look over here. Otherwise, it's an air pocket. What are you going to use? Well, at least if I've got a center line here, that the market, remember, we draw that, but the market actually frames this. Right? The market creates that trend line and that trend line. We're just recognizing it. So let the market dictate what's coming next. Go back out here because this we got to acknowledge. All right, so the question becomes, right, we're going to have resistance till we get over this. Plenty of potential resistance. Now, many of you will recall that we're trading here, that these were all, this was perfect, right? The measured moves here were, all right, so this was particularly an important one because we got this perfect one off of it. All right, you remember this one? God, I do, right? So right into the golden zone, had this little stutter at first target, and then we went here. Now we went past target here, but we got the 50, and then ultimately we got the, and then look, isn't that interesting, right? How we got through the lower target here, but that was the base. That ended up being the base. Now we're coming back. So you want to pay attention to, okay, well, these were significant because you go, oh shit, man, nobody cares about that anymore. You know who is still there? Software. Because software is not paying attention. Software is just, it's just code, right? So it's just going to sit there and go, well, fuck, all right, well, right, what did we use last? What did we use last? All right, now this one, we're to and through, right? So good sign, right? We get through it, we got to go back one. Well, we know they used this one. That gave it that textbook perfect one. We know the software used it. We break that, oh, great, you got to go back one, right? We'll break that, oh, got to go back one, right? There's the big one. So what's, right now you look at some prior structure. Remember, we want to see what was prior support, not what was prior resistance, right? We kind of pay attention in the context of the measured move. But where is there a pivot here that was some support? Well, that's about all I got. I mean, you know, little baby in here, but this is a pretty big one here. You might wick this off, right? Just kind of keep an eye on it. Right? If we were pivot, now you're looking left going, shit, was it that? Could it have been that? Looks like they tapped it twice. Man, could have been, right? So we cross that bridge when we get there. But this little, poke through that channel, now let's see if it can sustain. What you'd hope, right, is that we'd get out of here, and then if we were going to come and retest here, or if we're going to go deeper, the geometry will guide us there into that 5. Let's see now. Right now, that's just a little turtle head right off the channel, right? Let's not assume that we're to and through and we're going to hold. Good sign, but nothing more than a turtle head right now. Okay, there we go. So I don't know there's much else to add here. Again, it's just drop dead simple. All right, so there you go. All right, guys. I think that covers us for today. All right, don't forget. All right, you won't see that. I think once a year we do that one. Okay, guys, there you go. Have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow.